Wait a minute, I hear something.
Dr. Movie! Dr. Movie! Blueberry News! Dr. Movie! Dr. Movie! Yeah!
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Dr. Movie. And, boy, I've got an oddball one for you here. This is one that I'd kind of forgotten about. This is one that Danny and I, from Helming, we talk about how we became friends and our work was dealing with all these videotapes and from a distribution company. And we would go and grab a movie and take it to my place, which is only just right down the road, and watch movies on our lunch break. And this is one of those that was just in the shuffle, and I've never really heard much of it again. I even forgot the name of it, but I wanted to check it out because I remember Danny and I really liking some stuff that was in it. And this one is called Viewer Discretion Advised. Even when you look this thing up and you Google it, there's not a whole lot of information here. So it's a really kind of an oddball thing. It doesn't really give you much on a cast. It was picked up and distributed by Troma. But the thing about this movie is it was shot in the 80s. I mean, it's obvious when you're watching this movie. It even though it came out in 98. This thing was definitely shot mid-80s, 86, 85, 86. And it just took that long, I guess, to finish it and get it distributed. Unless they try to get it distributed somewhere else. So, I don't know. It's kind of a mystery. Really hard to classify even what this movie is, too. It says it's a horror/comedy. But what it really is, I'm a big fan of the Kentucky Fried Movie, and that's exactly what this thing is trying to be. Or Amazon Women on the Moon, or there was another one called The Groove Tube that came out even before either one of those. So this is really kind of in that same spirit, right? Let's try to read a synopsis. It says Ted Smith becomes trapped in the TV shows he watches, which include a horror movie, commercials, game shows, and spoofs of singular purpose cable channels. Yeah, I mean that's the thing about this is it's that thing where you're supposed to be watching TV, but you kind of get trapped in everything. So you got their main character Tim Smith, played by Johnny Blaze, I think is his name. Directed by multiple people. Like I said, it was made throughout several years to get finished. But I tell you, the thing about this is it's pretty dang clever. The idea for this one works really well. And it's got several different skits that you run through with this guy. And believe it or not, it works really well. Obviously, it's low budget. But you get... It's like you're flipping the channels, right? And you just see this guy who's doing a commercial where you're selling tractors, all these different things. And it's got a couple of really great scenes in it that have always stood out to me. There's one of these cowboys, these cowfolk, sitting around a campfire, and they're talking about how tough they are and what they've gone through in their lives and all this stuff. And, they're competing about toughness. It's kind of like the scene in Jaws, right, where they're comparing scars. Well, this one, it's like, I'm going to take this dull saw and just cut my leg off right here in front of y'all. I'm just going to bleed to death. I mean, and the other one's like, oh, yeah? Well, I'm going to rip my own head off. And the other one's like, I'm just going to shoot myself in the mouth. And it turns into this big bragging session. And then... And they literally, the other one, when they see that the other guy is ripping his own head off. The dude with the saw just starts sawing faster, right? Because he doesn't want to be beat. It's quite comical. I mean, it works really well. And these guys are making up some of the craziest stories, right? And I really enjoy that one, right? Because it was something different. The big takeaway from this one is they do a commercial for a horror movie called Just Friends, where this guy keeps going out with different girls, and by the end of the date, they want to be just friends, and it's kind of a spoof of that, and it's supposed to be just friends, spooky music and all this kind of stuff. You get a commercial for not body condoms, what is it? The condom police come in and arrest a guy and a girl for, having sex without having a condom, because, again, you got the AIDS scare going on. This is what I'm saying. You can tell all that stuff is coming from the 80s. But here's the kicker about this thing. Yes, this is 1998, sorry. But like I said, this thing was made in the 80s. Now, this thing breaks off into a horror film. Group of college kids, they get in their cars, they drive out to an abandoned house, they're going to spend the weekend together. Everything goes wrong. And the thing that we make Scream, we put it so high on a pedestal for what it did, right? Because it's breaking down all the rules of a horror movie. I hate to tell you, folks, but this movie does it first. This movie is but it's making more fun of it. But it is nailing it, right? Because when they pull up to the house, and our main character, and the reason Danny, when I brought this up to Danny, said, "Hey, you remember this movie?" And he says, "Is that the shrimp basket movie?" I'm like, "Yeah." Now, you might have heard me talk about this with RJ just recently, because I think I brought this up. Maybe I didn't during the show, but this guy says, "What am I? Chopped liver? What am I? This? What are you? That?" I mean, he always say that, and he says, "What am I? Shrimp basket?" And for some reason, that has always stuck with Danny, and he used to say it all the time. And when I sent him the picture of the movie, he's like, "Is that the shrimp basket movie?" I'm like, "That's it." So again, we took something away from this. But when this group of people pull up in front of this abandoned house, which is a scary looking kind of White Castle looking house, right? Abandoned, and he goes, "Well, what was that?" And they're all like, "What? What are you talking about?" He's like, "Y'all didn't see that?" He said, "It just broke away to a point of view shot from up high up there with some spooky music, and I don't like that. If it does that again, I'm out of here." So he picks up on the fact of the camera changed to a POV shot, looking down at them approaching the house. And he's like, "What? Well, it just did it again." I mean, and he's breaking all these things down, not leaving the room, don't say "I'll be back." And he's like, "Oh, great. That just means you're not coming back," right? He's breaking all these things down that we really would give Scream credit for. So I'm just wondering. I mean, I love Wes Craven. Don't get me wrong. He's made his share of flops. He's made his share of greatness. But did he see this earlier somehow? Kind of run with this idea? Well, we know he didn't write the story of Scream. So maybe the writer of Scream might have been friends with this guy. I don't know. I'm just saying it is way too similar. And there's quite a bit of distance in time in these shows. So that alone is worth checking out, right? The whole horror scene thing I think is great. There's another one that's a game show that I love too, where this woman keeps winning, but they never give her anything. And they finally say, "Hey, we'll give you $25,000 if you can go find the needle that's in the middle of one of those bullseyes over there. But while you're over there trying to find it, we're gonna have these three ladies blindfolded shooting bows and arrows, shooting arrows at you." I mean, so it's just crazy. Again, it's Kentucky Fried Movie. It's wanting to be one of those type of movies. And it does a pretty decent job. You can tell there is no money in this movie. And I don't know. I kind of dig it. It's just hard for me to recollect everything because all the stories kind of run into each other, because this guy goes to the psychiatrist and he tells him what he dreamed this last time, and it's another show, right? And it shows him doing that. And again, you get the flicking of the channels and him being all these different people. I don't know. I kind of got a spot for this one. Is it great? Absolutely not. But it's got its own pieces of genius in it that I think really make it worthwhile. So this is kind of a short episode, but I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. It's almost a 4. It's not, maybe a 3.5, right? Because there's some stuff that I really like about this one. It's unique. And for that alone, you get points in my book, because show me something I haven't seen before, right? So there you go. That's my take on Viewer Discretion is Advised. Let me know if you know something about this movie, or if you remember this one, or you like this one, or you hate this one. I'm just wanting some feedback from you folks. So take the time. Let me know what you think. All right, folks, that's it for this one. And we will check you later.